and welcome to this very special episode of ET Now Hangouts with me, Ankita Saxena. Well, this week we are celebrating the World Investor Week, and as you know, we are a show for the young and the smart. We have curated an all-you-need-to-know guide for investors looking to profit from traditional art and art's digital transformation in the form of NFTs and also luxury sneakers as an asset class. Well, first up, let's talk about NFTs or non-fungible tokens. Well, what are NFTs firstly? In simple terms, an NFT is a unique digital asset that represents ownership of a specific item like art, music, in-game items and videos on a blockchain. But how is it really different from any cryptocurrency? Well, unlike cryptocurrencies which are fungible and can be exchanged one-to-one, NFTs are unique and cannot be replicated. But why are we really talking about NFTs then? Well, because NFTs can afford the artists and content creators a unique opportunity to monetize their wares, as they can be traded and exchanged for money, cryptocurrencies or other NFTs. So today, to understand this elusive world of NFTs, I'm joined by someone you would instantly recognize if you're a 90s kid. Well, he's also the first Indian actor to sell art as an NFT, and he's also made the world's first NFT-funded film, Vishal Malhotra. Hi, Vishal. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us in the studio today.
Thank you so much, Ankita. It's always been a pleasure to see you on screen, and to be here is a little surreal. So thank you for having me.
Thanks, Vishal. Vishal, right off the bat, you're the first Indian actor who's sold art as NFT. In fact, you also have your the first NFT-funded film in the world to your credit, right? So right off the bat, let's start from grassroots. How does one create their own NFT? And what is this process of minting an NFT? What is that?
An NFT in the simplest form is basically digitizing your art and putting it up on the blockchain.
Right.
So in today's day and age, everybody has a camera. You either scan a piece of art, or I can actually scan this beautiful television and put it up on the blockchain, and that becomes a non-fungible token. I'll come into the details of that if you'd like a little later. The process of creation in the world of blockchain technology is called minting.
Okay.
So that's how simplified it is.
Okay. So, now that I've created my NFT, where do I sell it? As a creator, I want to sell my NFT, or as a buyer who's interested in investing in NFT, how do I buy it? There has to be a marketplace, there has to be a trading platform. Also, there could be a transactional fee called the gas fee, as they call it.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that?
Well, you seem to have done your research very, very well, as always. And it's a great question. So yeah, there is a marketplace. If I might call out brand names, the biggest platform that where you do shopping nowadays is Amazon, right? Or any of the others, Myntra, Flipkart.
Right.
And so that's the place where somebody puts up the photographs of their product, prices it, and then you've got ways, your wallet is either attached to it in the form of a UPI or a credit card or whatever, and then you see the product, you like it, and you buy it. So that's the whole area of a marketplace in this world. In that world, which is the world of blockchain, there's also a marketplace, right? The famous ones for NFTs are Foundation, OpenSeas. In my case, my team created our own marketplace called letscollect.live, yeah? And it was a beautiful platform because we wanted to do everything indigenous. Now comes the question is, how do you interact, right? How do you do the trades? You have to attach something called your wallet onto these platforms. Right. Like in this world situation, you put on your UPI, you connect your credit card, etc. Here you have several wallets. One of the examples is MetaMask. It's a wallet which allows you to store your cryptocurrency, any kind of, and then that allows you to log on to the platform. So once you log on to the platform like OpenSea or Foundation, or in my case,
platform.
In that case, what happens is that then it allows you to transact.
Okay.
Right? And that's how you do it. It's a simplistic aspect. The only difference is that the currency used out here is cryptocurrency, which can be Ethereum or any other currency, in my case, Ethereum. And in the real case situation, it's the fiat. It's the currency of the country, rupee in our country. Right. So that's the basic outline of it.
Okay, so we have understood the basics of this now, but tell me, Vishal, what is attracting creators, investors globally to NFTs? What value does it generate for? So for a creator, I understand because you get royalty or rights of your art. But what is the value for, say, an investor or a buyer of an NFT?
Well, I can only give you my point of view because this is something that attracted me. So what attracted me the most about it is the independence that it gives an artist. As an actor for the last 25, 30 years, one thing that I have always craved for is ownership of my performance, of my art. It's I do a film or I come out with a song or etc. And then once I release it, it doesn't remain mine unless I own the IP in totality. Usually you release it through a producer, a distributor, etc. and it becomes theirs. And then no matter what happens with that, you are disconnected with it. You're remembered in a very big way that, okay, you're a part of it, so it gives you that. But on a monetary front, there's nothing. So here, the royalty really, really attracted me. The royalty not only monetarily, but it gives you a sense of empowerment as an artist. Today, if I make a piece of art and I put it up as an NFT and say, Ankita, you purchase it. Right? That's great. Then you sell it further. At whatever price you sell it further, I get a royalty commission out of it. And then that person sells it further. You and me both get royalties out of it. And this kind of goes on. Now, this cannot be hampered with because there's something called a smart contract, which is on the blockchain, which cannot be messed around with, right? And that's why it's embedded at the time of creation, where these are the terms and conditions. So the royalty can be 2%, 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever pre-decided. And then that keeps going on. So to answer a part of your question, that is what it is.
Right. In fact, I'll take a leaf from what you just said about how this payment system works. There's a flip side to it also. The value of an NFT is now contingent on what I am willing to pay as a buyer, right? There is no fundamental analysis or technical analysis, or for that matter, any economic indicator that decides the value of an NFT, as in the case of a stock price movement, right? So which means that there is a chance that I may not be able to resell the NFT because there are no buyers, or I might resell it for a lesser price than I bought it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The way I like to equate it is the way I like to see it. I have always looked at it from a collection point of view. And there I will come to what are the other ways you can look at it. But if I look at it from my point of view, it's like buying a piece of art, right? The value of the art can go up or it can come down, right? It's just digitized art. When the market is good, like stocks, there are certain stocks which are penny stocks, small caps, mid caps, large caps, in a very basic format. People do invest in penny stocks, very well knowing that there's a 99% possibility and probability that it might never even sell or it might just not exist anymore. I'm not comparing it to penny stocks, not at all. But I'm trying to say that there's
always
a risk quotient in any investment or any purchase, whether it be a materialistic purchase. I might buy a watch, it might not work no matter how much service I get on it. But this is my POV on this entire situation of NFTs. Thus, my personal point of view is that whenever I buy or sell an NFT, I make sure that there's a lot behind it. So a lot can be packed into an NFT. I look at parameters like it being a one-off piece, like it being a Genesis piece, it being a one of its kind. I'm just giving you a hypothetical example. What if I told you that you could have an opportunity of putting money into having full ownership or part ownership into the world's first Charlie Chaplin film?
Wow.
That you could be a co-owner in that.
Right.
Would you buy it? Maybe, maybe not. But what would be a thought? The thought would be that, wow, it's the first Charlie Chaplin film. And if I buy it, the value will increase. Or if I tell you that that first Picasso painting, or the first Hussein painting, right? So according to normal common sense, the value has increased and will increase. Similarly, I make sure, and even in stocks, I look at large caps, which gives me more safety. So I looking at your NFT purchases from my perspective as something which has got many more safety nets, many more deliverables is what we call it in that world. And that's why I have always attached myself to pieces which I felt, number one, that I have a personal connect with, that it looks nice, that I want to own it for no other reason but I love it. And second, that it has value attached to it. Also, what's happening in today's age is one of the other things is gamifications of token. I'll give you a very different example. You remember as kids, you used to have these chips packets, and some of them used to have those lucky draws where you used to pick up cards.
Yes,
and the
yes.
card used to be, say, a cricketer card or something which had batting skills, bowling skills, and different things, trading cards or whatever. And then somebody else would also find a card like that. And then people would sit down and say, I got this card, I got this card, let's trade. So for these 3 cards, I'll give you these 5 cards.
Right.
It's gamification. So these are things which really add a lot of value, besides the fact that with time, like a stock, if the company is doing well, the stock value goes up, and for other reasons. But if you buy a Genesis piece and the demand for it increases, hey, I'd like to be a part of this. So then you could sell it at a higher rate.
Higher rate.
Or if the market is not conducive, you have to, so it's as simple as that.
It's a trade-off. Okay. So tell us, how friendly is this ecosystem? Because when NFTs came into being in 2014, it didn't get that kind of traction, perhaps because of the challenges of the blockchain that it was operating on. It's only after Ethereum coming into the picture in 2017 the game really changed.
That's a great question, because Ethereum as a currency is not only just a currency for trade. It's actually used for creating smart contracts and lots of other multi-usage. That's why it gives a lot of credibility to NFTs. When I got in, it was probably into the mid of the lockdown period, and that's how I discovered it actually on YouTube, going through that. And as I said, what resonated with me is the power to the artist, simplistically, nothing to do with monies or things. And I still look at it that way. So it has changed in the way from my limited knowledge to the fact that it's become a little more regulated, which is absolutely against the whole crypto aspect of it. But it's become a lot more transparent, I feel, a lot more simpler. Let's use the word, it's simplified itself a lot more.
Right. Okay. So finally, where do you see NFTs headed? What's the future? Because the kind of volatility that NFTs have seen, in fact, not just NFTs, cryptocurrencies that have seen, and also the regulatory aspect of it, it's not very conducive in India. Also the kind of volatility that it has seen over the years. I mean, since 2020 to 2022, there was a massive boom in sales. $8 billion is what it touched. But then it fizzled out, and it's still on a downward trend, right? So some people believe that it's a bubble that's waiting to burst, like the dot-com bubble. But some also believe that this will open up new avenues to invest. What's your take on that?
Personally, I don't know. Like I don't know which stocks are going to work, or which sector is a bubble or which isn't. I mean, we didn't know about the IT bubble. And everybody's
but what are you picking up from, what is the sense that you're getting from your fellow NFTs?
My personal point of view is this, all right? I have not bought an NFT for a very long time. The reason for it is because I'm not finding anything which is appealing to me from a collector's point of view, right? I always, and these are all my personal points, not a recommendation, I make sure that I always look at creating, and even if I do purchase, NFTs which have value, of which I have spoken about earlier with you.
Right.
Number one, it has to resonate to me as a collector. Number two, it has to be a genesis. It has to be a one-off.
Right.
It has to be an NFT which is a superpower NFT for me, right? It has to be in those aspects. Everything else is not in my control, like it isn't with stocks or with any other trading commodity, I would feel.
Right. In fact, but those were great tips the great checklist to look at if you're selecting an NFT. But on that note, thank you so much, Vishal, for taking the time out and joining us.
Thank you, Ankita. This has been great.
Well, now that we've decoded what NFTs are and how they work, let's slip into a short breather. After the break, we are getting you how can you invest in traditional art and sneakers as an asset class. Welcome back. You're tuned into ET Now Hangouts with me, Ankita Saxena. Well, we are celebrating World Investor Week, and I'm getting you some interesting ideas for alternate investments. Well, we spoke about digital form of art or NFTs as an asset class in the first segment, but investing in traditional art has also been an area of fascination for many. Well, for devout art collectors to those newly interested in the financial aspect of art, there are various paths to explore in this realm. So let's go across to one of the leading international auction houses, Saffron Art, and speak to Dinesh Wazirani, who's the CEO of Saffron Art and the co-founder of Art Mumbai, to discuss both traditional and modern ways to invest in art. Hi Dinesh, thank you so much for inviting us over to your art gallery. It looks beautiful.
Thank you so much for coming, Ankita, and thank you for being here.
Dinesh, right off the bat, we are talking about art as an investment. Talk to us about its relevance. Also, what are the opportunities and what are the risks and what are the rewards?
So art is a dual investment. It's an emotional investment,
right,
because you connect with the painting, you live with it, you enjoy the beauty of it, and over time, it's a financial investment.
Yes.
Historically, art has been one of the best returns amongst all investment vehicles.
Right.
But the most important thing about art is you need to understand it.
Right.
You need to know the painting you're buying, where does it stand in the artist's over? You know, how important is that painting in what the artist has painted?
Right.
Was it painted at a time when the artist was at his golden period, the peak? Is it been published? Is it been exhibited in museums or in shows? So if the painting is an important painting from the artist's period, it will always hold its value. The risks are you have to be careful. You have to understand it. You have to read about it. You need the knowledge about it. There are lots of experts and advisors who can help you out with that. So you have to be careful from where you buy. Buy from a reputed source.
Yeah.
Make sure that the provenance, which is a common used word in art, all provenance means is chain of ownership.
Okay.
How did the painting come down to you? Who owned it before? Where did the person get it from? That shows the authenticity of a painting.
Okay.
And of course, if a painting comes from a great collection, then automatically you know the person had a good eye, so the painting should be a good painting.
Right.
But if you bought well, I think it's very difficult to go wrong as a financial investment with a really great painting. I'll give you an example. There's a painting by Tayyab Mehta, which we sold, I think, in 2006 or 7. It came up for sale again 10 years later. In 2007, it sold for a little less than $1 million. And in 10 years later, it sold for $4 million.
Wow.
So, that's a 4-time appreciation in 10 years.
Right.
So, if you buy the right painting, I think you can never go wrong with it.
Right. In fact, I was coming to those numbers, those figures, because if one is investing in art, one would expect a return on their investment if you're looking at it purely as an investment.
Sure.
So, with the help of an example, you gave a great example. With the help of an example, tell us how does the value of art appreciates over time, and how do you recognize those pieces of art that hold that kind of value appreciation?
To identify a good painting, you have to understand the historical context.
Right.
And there are many paintings that have come to Saffron Art for resale. We sold it maybe 5 years, 7 years ago, and they've all done exceedingly well.
Okay.
So the choice of paintings is very, very important for a financial part. There's Raza, which we sold, I think, for about 1 crore, which we sold for 3 crores, over a span of 6-7 years.
Right.
There's Gaitonde, which we sold very cheap and which sold like 30 times its value.
Wow.
So it all depends on which artist it is. If you've chosen the right artist, you'll see incredible returns. But like I said, don't buy it only for the returns.
Right.
Because if you do, you'll go wrong.
Okay.
You must choose right, because it's only a good financial investment dependent on what the painting is. If you've chosen right, it's a good financial investment.
Okay, so let's begin there. How do you choose right? For a novice who wants to invest in traditional art, how does one get started? How do I get my knowledge from? How do I get to know about the artist? What are the right platforms? And what are the right platforms if I'm looking to resell a painting?
Yeah. So first thing is look. Go out there, go to galleries, go to auction houses, go to exhibitions. Look at what's out there.
Right.
Talk to people. Right. There are many really good curators. There are many good advisors who can give you good advice. Understand and learn as much as you can. Because the more you learn, the more you have a benchmark for comparison. Right. Like say, for example, take a painting of Raza, which is here.
Right.
Like say if you've seen 2-3 Razas, then that's your world of comparison. But if you've seen 200,
Right.
then your pool of comparison is better.
It's larger,
You can make out which is a better painting and which is a great painting. So I think looking is very important. Read, the internet has amazing information now. Go to art fairs. In fact, we're doing Art Mumbai in November, November 14 to 17. Please come.
Absolutely.
I think that's a place where you have like 73 galleries, you have sculpture, you have discussions, speaker series. So you're learning from experts.
Right.
So I think that process of learning itself gives you the confidence as to how to choose.
Right. Also, there is an aspect called the art fund. What is an art fund? It involves a couple of investors. Take us through what an art fund looks like.
There was a time in 2005, 6, 7, 8 where there were lots of art funds around.
Right.
And an art fund is basically people pool their money together. It's like like a chit fund.
Right.
And someone manages it,
Right.
buys art, holds it, and then sells it over time.
Okay.
But it's risky also because the art funds, when they first they came out in 2005, 6, 7, the entire market turned in 2009 with the global crisis.
Yeah.
So they were hit very badly. So the timing of an art fund is very important. And also, art funds in some ways traditionally have not performed as well.
Okay.
And there are many reasons for that. I think partly is timing. Partly the whole period was too little. Art is a long-term investment.
Right.
It's not a short-term investment. So I think it's actually a generational investment. The next generation will enjoy it more than you and probably make more money on it.
Also, tell us, how does the value of an artist or a painting gets impacted when it goes into a museum, like museums that are, international museums or, the famous museums of the world? How does that impact the price movement on these commodities?
In two ways.
Yeah.
One, museums very carefully choose artists.
Okay.
So if a painting lands up at the Guggenheim or the MoMA, automatically, its value is increased because now it's housed in a public museum. They've chosen it. Secondly, what happens, and India is getting an amazing museum coming in 2026, the Kiran Nadan Museum of Art, which is going to be a world-class building. You can imagine just this incredible structure.
Right.
When you walk in itself and you see a painting there, automatically it has that value.
Okay.
Because it's housed in such an incredible space. What also happens is museums, as they collect, they buy works to build up their own collection. So, as more and more works go into museums, they never come back into the market.
Right.
So the supply is completely gone.
Gone, yeah.
And whatever
The demand
little
keeps increasing.
and demand increases. So whatever is left with collectors, automatically the value goes up.
Right.
So I think following the trajectory of where artists are and are they housed in museums will give you some indication of value.
Wow, interesting, because up until now I always thought that the paintings that are up at public museums are not for sale.
No, they're not. Museums don't sell.
Right.
But to get there, they've been buying for decades.
Okay.
So because each museum builds up their own collection. Of course, in the US, what happens is the US has a very friendly tax structure.
Right.
So, if you donate a painting to a museum, you get a tax break. So a lot of museums collect works from there. But if works go into a museum, there are less and less works out there in the public market.
Right.
Because museums don't sell.
Right.
And demand's going up, supply is not there, so value will go up.
Right, Dinesh, but this was very insightful. But thank you so much for taking the time out and telling us more about how to invest in art. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ankita.
Well, now that we've spoken about investing in digital form of art, which is NFTs, and the traditional form of art, let's speak about investing in luxury goods as an alternate investment, like sneakers. Well, the sneaker reseller market is not far behind when it comes to luxury investments. Well, the sneaker reselling culture is a global phenomenon and is now taking India by storm. So let's find out from Vedant Lamba, who's the founder of Main Street Marketplace, one of the largest sneaker reseller platform, on how limited edition sneakers can be a good financial decision. Hi Vedant, welcome to ET Now.
How are you doing, Kita?
I'm doing good, Vedant. Vedant, I want to talk to you about the business of sneakers. So how does this make sense financially, say, as an alternate investment, as you said? How do sneakers make sense
So there's
financially?
a couple of ways that sneakers can sort of be sensible. When you enter the resale space and you buy something that has some sort of value, and we've seen tons of people do this, okay? If you bought the shoe and it released because you liked it, once you're in the space and you've done your research, it's pretty clear when a shoe's price is going to go up. There's a few other shoes that you just know were going to go up anyway.
Okay.
This, when it came out, was selling for 25,000 rupees.
Right.
So if you bought one at that point of time,
That was the retail price for
that was
it.
the resale price. The retail price is 16.
Okay.
16, 17 grand. Now it's reselling for 25,000 rupees at that time.
Right.
If you didn't want to explore effort into this to make money, but as a consumer, you said, I want to wear this shoe, you bought it. If you wore it for the last 3 years, after paying, even if you paid 30,000 rupees for it, you could sell a used version of the shoe for 40,000 rupees today.
Wow.
Because the shoe is now worth upwards of 60,000
Okay. In the resale market.
in the resale market.
Okay.
So you've actually made money on consumption. There's not only
You've consumed it and you have
you've
resold
consumed
it.
and you made money.
Okay.
That's where I think it makes most sense, and there's the widest application for people who want to get into the space and wear nice shoes,
Right.
but don't want to sort of consume their capital towards it. It's a decent use of your money.
Well, those were some of the alternate investment options for people with eclectic tastes and who want to diversify their portfolio and also enjoy the art and the luxury. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of ET Now Hangouts. I'll see you next week, same time. See you soon.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.